Good evening, everyone. I'm Reem Saleh, the Associate Director for External Relations and Partnerships for the Art Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. Thank you for joining us for the discussion of this very powerful film, Between Two Seas, which is presented part of the Cinemana Showcase of Contemporary Arab Cinema. It's presented by Sorbonne University Abu Dhabi and the NYU Abu Dhabi Film and New Media Program. I'm very honored to be moderating this discussion, and I would like to welcome our guests, Safaa Habib, General Manager at National Council of Women, Maha Rateb, Communication and Advocacy Analyst at UN Women, both in Egypt, and the director of the film, Anas Tolba. Anas is an Egyptian-American filmmaker born in Egypt. He started his career by directing music videos for many artists in the MENA region. His works are mostly linked with social or human causes that reach a wider audience. He directed several short films like Closer and Mariam, both in 2017, which was also a collaboration with UN Women in Egypt to spread awareness about the issue of alternative education in Upper Egypt. Between Two Seas is his first feature-length film, and congratulations on this very, very powerful film, Anas and all the team involved. A little bit about the film before we start. Between Two Seas had its premiere last year in 2019 at the Aswan International Women Festival, and it has won global recognition, including the Best Narrative Feature Award and a Certificate of Outstanding Achievement at Brooklyn Film Festival. It has been touring since, and we will learn more about the tour because this is an important topic of discussion because it has to do a lot with the objective of the film. Welcome once again, and for those who are attending the discussion, if you are not able to see the chat or participate in the chat, just please refresh your browser so that you can participate, drop in your questions, and we will hopefully answer most of them or as much as we can towards the end of the Q&A. Welcome once again, and there's something really interesting about the production of the film, which I would like to start with. The film is produced in collaboration with UN Women and Egypt's National Council for Women, and it's renowned by it's written by the renowned Mariam Naoum, who is known to write about gender issues and portraying very strong and powerful female characters. This is not usually a collaboration that we're used to seeing, and it's usually the opposite. The film is made, and sometimes UN agencies and other organizations join at a later stage if the themes of the films are in line with their objective. In this case, it's the other way around. And it's an interesting phenomena, if I can call it this way. And I would like to hear from you, Maha and Safaa, about the collaboration. Why have you decided to fund a film which and join hands with Anas and Mariam to collaborate in raising the voice regarding themes that are important to you?
So first of all, a pleasure being with you today, and I'm really happy that we're having this screening in the UAE, and I'm looking forward to the Q&A with the audience. And I'm gonna give you a background. I'm sure Safaa will add to this, but for us as UN Women Egypt and the National Council for Women, we have worked on a couple of projects, like a short movie and a song before. The short movie and the song were with Anas as well. And we have, throughout our work in the previous years, we have been realizing the importance of utilizing art more, the importance of using cinema and drama and shedding light on different societal and development issues, and how impactful this can be. And more powerful in reaching the audience and sending the messages in a different way and changing perceptions, of course, and behavior on the long term. So we were very keen on taking a step further with utilizing art and cinema and having a feature movie that would shed light on issues that women and girls face in Egypt and other parts in the world, of course, but our priority is the Egyptian women. And also we have been doing this in partnership with Exir, which is the production company that actually worked with us on this movie, and they had a great role as well on that. And we were very keen to reach the people in a different way, to develop a movie that would help us in raising the awareness in different communities that would be similar to their realities, reflect their realities, and offer solutions and change perceptions. So I leave the floor to Safaa to add on that as well.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Maha. I want to express actually that we are very proud that this movie is in the Abu Dhabi Film Festival, because it's our first production for this a long movie. Actually, NCW is always on the ground, working with the people, talking to the people, talking to the women at their homes. We always have this kind of raising awareness tool, which is knocking doors campaign. Through this campaign, we are really and in fact knocking at the doors of women, sit with them and talk to them and discover the real problems that they are facing, or challenges, the daily challenges they have in their life. Through these talks and through these campaigns, we figure that they need themselves in the movie or in a drama or something, because we discovered that they wanted to express their feelings, but they cannot. Even when we, with UN Women and Exir, started to choose the cast, we choose very, very good actors. And they, at the same time, they are very close to the people. They are not very famous movie stars, because we need the people to see themselves, these characters in the movie. We used the same language. We used the places where they are, how they talk, how they walk, how they think. Actually, for about 3 years now or 4 years now, we did a lot in the FGM case. Because in Egypt, and I think in the most African countries, it's a real problem. It's a huge problem. Girls are dying. Women, they lost their children. It's a crime, and we should stop it. How could we stop it if if this problem is in the mind, inside the culture, inside their thoughts? They think that it's in religion, which is not. It's only a bad habit, a very bad habit. So this movie is one, or in my opinion, it's the biggest tool we have to combat this crime. The feedback in, I don't know if, of course, my colleague Maha can explain more about the public screenings that we have. When we start to screen this film for free in public in the small villages, and when women saw themselves in the movie, they start to react. Some of them crying, some of them decided not to do this to their daughters. Some others started to ask why it's in religion. So we start to explain, we start to raise awareness about these wrong ideas. So I think when we start again after I hope after the corona is going down, inshallah, we will start again to take this movie in every small village in Egypt, and we'll screen it, and we will discuss with people, and we will explain to people. And I think it's one, as I said, one of the very successful tools we have to combat this FGM.
Thank you, Safa. And actually, it's worth reminding or letting people know that this week also coincides with the International Day for Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, or FGM, which is one of the main themes of your film. And it's really interesting to see how you chose film as a medium to have a stronger impact in influencing people against it. And the film is highly authentic in its language. And you chose to film, or the film takes place in Gazir al-Dahab, which is an island, but it also is at a short distance in the Felucca boat to Cairo. It's kind of isolated, but at the same time, it's very accessible. Is there a conscious choice for this specific location? And did you actually film there, and how is it linked to also the title of the film? Anas, would you like to tell us about this?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us here, and thanks for screening the film. It's a great honor. Going to your question about the choice of Gazir al-Dahab, I think it was a conscious choice because, like you said, it's a rural area. It's very isolated, but at the same time, it's very close to Cairo, and we wanted to show this contrast that, you know, these issues that we discussed in the film, they're not you know, in faraway places. They're not in you know, in villages or places that are very, you know, far from the modern city. They're actually within our society, within our everyday society, and that's why we wanted to show this contrast. And Gazir al-Dahab it had this contrast. It also, because it's an island, it has its own sort of culture within that island. And I think, you know, in terms of like creative choice, it was very interesting to show that culture within the film, and to make the film have its own identity in a creative way. And in terms of filming, we did actually film all the film, like all the shooting days were on the island, and every day we would go with the Felucca and back from the filming locations, which was a very enlightening experience for all the crew, because we sort of felt what the people living there would feel, because we took the same trips that they took. We filmed in their houses. We walked the same streets that they walked. So we had this connection, and I think it was good for the film, because I hope that it was reflected in the overall aesthetics of the film.
It actually did, because it's really authentic, every detail of the film, and it's not far from other parts in Egypt. I mean, it kind of reminds me also of Shubra and Rud al-Farag and other places. It feels like an isolated location, but at the same time, it's kind of a microcosmos that connects with other parts in Egypt. You shocked us in the beginning of the film with a strong narrative choice, which is the unfortunate death of Shahid. So you started with a sort of a climax, but you managed at the same time to keep us on edge somehow, because we do feel so much with the mother. We do feel so much with what happened. And there is anger and all sorts of really weird feelings. I mean, this is one of the consequences of FGM, but it's not only about this. Why did you decide to start like that?
You know, I actually wanted to have this, you know, event earlier on in the film, but you know, I also wanted to give time for character development and everything. But I think having this, you know, extreme event, you know, the death of a child, is sort of a wake-up call. And, you know, when we were discussing, you know, when we were talking with UN Women in NCW, and before even writing the film and trying to get insights into the issue, a lot of women, they know that it's wrong and they know that it's harmful, but they don't have any choice, or they don't know what to do, and they just continue doing this because this is the way it's been done. So having this extreme event, the death of a young child, I think is sort of a wake-up call to, it was a wake-up call to Zahra. And it, you know, anything less shocking in the script wouldn't have maybe sparked all the events and all the change that she had to go through. Not just her, but, you know, all the people around her. And we tried to maneuver around that, as not to make the film just about the death of Shahd, but also to make it about the effects of death in, you know, in family and friends, in the whole village. And that's actually the main drive for change, you know, through Zahra's life, and, you know, the phases that she went through until she realized that, you know, the answer is not for revenge. The answer is not anger, but the actual answer is to be educated and to try to help those around her not to do the same mistake. But I think it had to be something, you know, as shocking as the death of her child.
And it's interesting how education is mentioned from the beginning till the end. So it's kind of the opener, because, you know, the girls are studying, and then you have the character of the doctor whose name is Amal, which means hope, and she is kind of a hope in this film. And at the end, everyone goes towards education. But my question is education, the lack of education, the only reason why people practice FGM? Because if I'm not mistaken, it does exist also in other social classes. So do we have figures regarding this, or am I just saying something that's completely inaccurate? Safaa, Maha?
Yes, actually, no, unfortunately. Is in the middle class, and it's not only the uneducated people, because, as I said, it's people are linked this crime with a bad habit, or a custom, or a tradition, or a religion. It's all wrong. Even here, recently, Al-Azhar announced that it's forbidden. It was a very strong message. They think that this habit will keep girls away from being, I don't know, in a wrong way. Let me choose my my words. In a wrong way, or to act, or to take some acts which is not accepted in our community. They think this is the right way to raise the girls. Some people they think that if they do this crime, so the girl will obey them all the time and all her life, which is not true as well. So again, it's not related to are they educated people or not. I know in the movie we can see the middle class. It's not the middle class, maybe less than the middle class, but it's not related to education again, because we in our knocking doors campaign, we found people or families, they are not educated, but they didn't do that to the girls. They know the truth. They ask, and they maybe they can read or write, but they can understand, and they can follow the religion man, which who is telling the truth about this.
Yeah.
So again, it's not only the education, no.
That's interesting. It shows also how embedded in the culture it is, and there are misconceptions around it, as you mentioned, and which is one of the question as well, is the role of religion, because it is not in Islam. We know this is not an Islamic practice; it's more of a cultural practice. After the announcement of the Azhar, did it make any difference?
Yes, of course, of course. And this it was very successful thing that we did in at the National Council for Women in the cooperation with the UN agencies, not only the UN Women, but but also UNICEF and UNFPA, that we had our own announcement in the radio, particularly in the Quran al-Karim radio station. We announced about the law, we announced about the Azhar opinion or fatwa. And we start, not us, it's because it's a cooperation between the NCW and NCCM, the National Council for Motherhood, Childhood and Motherhood, and the hotline or the children hotline started to receive a lot is after they hear the announcement in the Quran Kareem radio station. And for the first time, we received calls from fathers, and they say like the grandmother or grandfather, they insist to have this crime to my daughters, and I think it's in religion. So he start to ask, and we start to answer. And the calls, it was like a double or triple after we announced in the Al-Quran Kareem radio station. So yes, they have a very, very positive impact when people know that it's not in religion. When they are confirmed, we confirm that it's not in religion, they leave this or they drop this crime.
And you know, the role of the father, you have an interesting dynamic of characters in the film because you cannot judge any of them, and the misogyny and matriarchy are quite interrelated, because women are influencing the practice, and at the same time the younger generation is against it. Religious authorities, you know, you also have the two point of views. So it's quite interesting how you don't let the characters be responsible as much as other factors like education, for one. We have like 10 minutes left, so I want to also open it to the audience. And there's a really interesting question regarding your responsibility towards the portrayal of the culture, because you're showing the film to a very specific audience with a specific goal or purpose, which is raising awareness against it, but it's also shown in other corners of the world. So how do you navigate around your responsibility for the culture you represent on the screen?
I think that the answer to this is actually was when we showed the film in New York in the Brooklyn Film Festival, and that screening specifically was very interesting because there were people from all over the world. You know, none of them spoke Arabic, but all of them, they sympathized with the characters, because the film, although there's a harsh reality shown in the film, but also the film is talking about hope, and is talking about ways to get out of to break the cycle. And so we were, when we were doing the film, when we were even writing the film, we were very we had to make sure that we're just showing reality. We're not making it look worse, we're not making it look better, we're showing it, but we're also giving the people who are watching, the audience, a way out. And this was I think this, like, from our first meetings with UN Women and NCW, this was the main thing that we wanted to achieve. We want to give people the way out, because a lot of films that talk about, you know, these issues or similar issues, what they would do is that they would show reality, and then that's it, and then the film would end. What we wanted to make different is that we wanted to show that there are some ways out, and there are actual practical ways to deal with what's happening and to try to break the cycle. So I think that was a balance between showing reality and then showing that there is also an alternative to these realities. and because the film also, it I think, like from what I hope is the reality of the film, is that it focused on emotions, like human emotions, more than it focused on like the culture or anything. And that's why I think a lot of people were able to relate to it. So like the emotion of the mother losing her daughter is something that everyone could relate to. It doesn't matter where they are from, it doesn't matter what language they speak. The emotion of the father not being able to protect his daughter, that's a very universal emotion. So I think this was also a very important aspect of the film, for people to understand it and relate to it, and also focus on those aspects more than focus on the negative aspects shown on screen.
It's interesting because, I mean, it's true the film is taking place in Egypt, and we know that the percentage of FGM practice in Egypt is very high, but it's not alien to other countries as well. And, you know, the social dynamic, because it's not only about FGM, is quite relatable. And that's always a big debate. What is the responsibility of the artist, of the filmmaker? Are you here to only portray a touristic image of the country, or are you here to share part of reality in your own vision and for different purposes? One of the questions is, actually I asked it in the beginning, but we did not get to it, the choice of the title, Between Two Seas.
So actually, the people who live on Jazeera Dahab, they call Jazeera Dahab bin Bahrain, which literally translates to between two seas, because it's an island, so it's always surrounded by water, and so that we inspired the title from that. But also the deeper meaning to the title is that it's between the sea of knowledge or education and the sea of ignorance, and they're stuck between that in that place. But it was interesting that the people that live there, they call this sometimes they call it Jazeera Dab, but also they call it Bin al Bahrain. So we thought it was a very creative name, so we inspired it for the film.
What were actually the challenges of filming in Jazeera Dahab?
I think the main challenge was like the physical challenge of getting everything and everyone and all the equipment in and out of the island every single day for the duration of the shooting. But again, like this, I think this made us appreciate the way that the locals live on the island, because it was a hard thing to do. And because we had a great team and we had a very professional crew, we were able to do that very without any problems. But we also realized how hard it is to go back and forth every day. And for most people on the island, they have to go back and forth to Cairo for their every day-to-day, whether work or errands or whatever. So it was hard, but it also made us again connect with the people on a deeper level, and hopefully tell the part of their story within our film. So yeah.
Anas, it's interesting, and this is a question that also now came up about you being a man directing this film. How did it affect you personally? And this is an issue directly related to women. And what is your position as a man affected or played a role in the creation of this film? Knowing that most of the people behind the film are women, it's important to point that, including the writer. But that's actually a very good question.
Yeah, that is actually a very good question. But I think for me personally, it was a learning experience, and I was fortunate enough to be surrounded with a team that were very passionate about the issue. Like whether it's from UN Women, NCW, we, like as a team and as a director, we were subjected to a lot of research and a lot of insight into this issue, which I personally didn't know a lot about before entering this project. And because we also had Mariam Naoum on board, she did a lot of writing. She is someone who is very invested in this issue and all the issues related to women. So I think for me it was a learning experience first of all, and it was an eye-opening experience. And this was also my experience with the other projects that I did with UN Women before, especially on the short film that we did, Maryam and the Sun, which actually talked about the education of girls in Upper Egypt. And the same thing happened. The project was based on research and was based on actual stories and was based on real life issues. And for me, it was an eye opener, and it was a very insightful project because I learned about the issue and I learned about the importance of the issue while doing the project. And I think it's very important for filmmakers or people who are, in the creative field to be affected and to be impacted by whatever they're doing. So I mean, it was I was very fortunate to be surrounded by people who opened my eyes on these important issues.
And the outcome is extremely powerful and very, very emotional. And I really hope it fulfills its purpose in being impactful and making a change, no matter how small it is. It has to start somewhere. People are asking, how can they access the film? Like, is it?
Yeah, the film. I'm not sure if Anas wants to take this, but the film is currently not available online, unfortunately.
Will it be available for rent or buying or?
Yeah, it's now being aired on ART network, and soon it's going to be available on other satellite channels as well. So they can follow the movies page Between Two Seas on Facebook, and once there are updates on the channels that will have the movie soon, this will be announced for sure.
Thank you. So I hope we get to access the film to a larger audience across the world, because I think it's really important. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot to discuss about the film, but we ran out of time. So I would like to ask if you have anything you would like to add before we close.
Thank you, and I hope everyone enjoyed, and hopefully this will have a positive impact on everyone who watched the film.
An emotional one for sure.
Thank you, and hopefully next time we screen the movie in UAE, we would be there in person to meet the audience by ourselves. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. We're very, very happy and honored that you joined the discussion, and we hope to see more collaborations like these between organizations, NGOs, and UN agencies and artists because of the strong impact. We'd like to thank the audience for joining us and for our amazing technical team who's behind everything that that you're seeing now. It's always very challenging to be on the virtual platform, but rewarding since we are able to connect. And I would like to also remind everyone that next month in Cinemana on March 8th, we will have 3 short films screened by Emirati filmmaker Abdulrahman Al-Madani. So we hope you join. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you in other events for the Art Center and for the screenings of Cinemana.